Welcome back to Work and Wander, where career stories meet dream destinations. I am your host, Jay Cocarulo, and alongside me, as always, my wonderful, beautiful, fabulous co-host, Jessica Badlam. Jessica, how are you doing this winter day?
Wow, Jay. After that introduction, I'm doing awesome. Really awesome. You must be sucking up to me because you've been so busy with work lately that we haven't had many of our normal chats like we normally do because you had visitors in town for work and then you went to a conference last week. How was that?
You caught me. I
Mm.
definitely am trying to suck up because I was told that we need to reconnect and get to re-know each other because I have been distant. So I went to San Diego for it's called Talent Acquisition Week, and it's a conference that they have annually. I don't know if it's always in San Diego, but it was last year and it is this year and it's going to be next year. So my gut tells me like they're sort of leaning into that. Never been to San Diego. It's of course a healthy flight across the whole country, but it was San Diego, first of all, beautiful.
Hmm.
Put that on your bucket list if you don't have it because it is. I don't like everyone should live there. It's I guess always 70 degrees. And the conference was like really really educational. I came back with like so many fantastic ideas of things to think about when we think about things like, I mean, my focus really, of course, is on employer brand and the employee experience and attracting people to travel and leisure and, having, that be a wonderful experience that makes people want to stay with us for their entire careers. So we came up with some really cool stuff. And there was a lot of AI stuff, like I'm not going to lie.
Hmm.
Um, but it wasn't like what we think like scary take over the world AI stuff. It was like how you can use it as a as a tool by your side rather than a replace everybody with robots. So it was good.
Well, that's comforting for
I
sure.
know, right?
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of definitely exciting things about AI and how it can help us be more functional,
Yeah.
on a day to day. But I'm glad you got to go to San Diego. I've
Thank you.
been once, but it was for a wedding. So I need to go back because I didn't really get to see as much as I would have liked to see. So maybe
Maybe TA
next
week
year,
next year.
yes, we can do a podcast.
Listen, TA week people. If you want us to record a podcast live at TA week, hit us up and we can make that happen. So
Absolutely. That would be wonderful. Awesome. Well, that was good catching up, after all that time away. So, but I'm
right.
excited to jump into our episode today. Today, we're joined by Jeff Weiss, recruitment manager for resort operations at Travel and Leisure Co. Jeff brings a deep background in talent, operations, and leadership, including more than 2 decades with the Walt Disney Company. Now he leads hiring efforts for our resort operations teams across the organization, and we are super excited to have him with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here. I'm super excited. And actually, as a side note, I'm going to San Diego at the end of February. So if you need me to scout locations for your new podcast,
This
I
is
will
perfect.
happily do that.
This
But
is
I have to
perfect.
go again next year. So there you
Stars
go.
align.
And I have some recommendations of places that you might want to visit, especially because I know some of the food and beverage that you enjoy, Jeff. So I will I'll hit that over to you as well.
Awesome. I
Um,
appreciate that. Thank you.
welcome. Well, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you. You've had a really diverse career across talent management, operations, leadership. Can you walk us through sort of your journey and what landed you in resort operations recruitment?
Yeah. So I actually started my hospitality journey in a Disney store in Virginia. And I figured out I don't like snow and ice. So
Wait. Oh,
Wait,
I
yeah.
hate to interrupt.
we're pausing for a second. Just a
You
Yeah.
have to
space.
pause. I have
I
to interject.
gotcha.
Virginia?
Yes, Northern Virginia, Springfield.
Oh, very nice. I obviously, for the listeners that know, I am in Virginia myself. I'm born and raised in Virginia. So my jaw dropped when you said that. So
Yeah.
I had to, where?
Yeah, absolutely. Traveled pretty extensively as a child. My parents worked for the Department of Defense in Europe,
Yeah.
and so we traveled all over the place. And when they actually came back to the States and landed, it was in Northern Virginia, and so I was there all the way up through, I don't know, the first couple of years of college before moving south to Florida to escape the cold. And so now I'm here, and I went to work again immediately for the Walt Disney Company, and I spent 24 years there in park operations, and eventually moving into HR. Did some leadership assignments there. Did some recruiting on both coasts for Disneyland and Disney World. Really trying to understand a little bit more about the candidate behavior and what really drives people to get into hospitality, and then I don't know, I guess about 4 years ago, I was given an opportunity to come over as a manager of recruitment for travel and leisure. And now I lead one half of the resort operations team. There's about 164, 65 resorts in the portfolio, and we recruit for all of them. So it's a pretty good gig. I love what I do.
And for those that maybe don't know, right, like resort operations is the housekeeping, the front
Yep.
desk, the lifeguards, the food and beverage, like all the things that the general managers, all the things that keep the resort running smoothly. So it's not a small swath of opportunities.
No, it's pretty diverse slate of opportunities, Jay. Thanks for the clarification there. And again, we've got 12 regional recruiters that recruit for those positions all over the country, and just a really great opportunity for somebody that's looking to get into hospitality, especially on the hotel side.
Awesome. I love that. You've worked in some really highly operational and high volume environments. What do you think makes recruiting for resort operations unique?
So that's an excellent question. And there's lots of places to go with that. One of the challenges and uniqueness about our operation here from a recruiting perspective is the diversity of resorts. When I worked at Walt Disney World, it was everything's in one single pocket within a 23 square mile. You knew exactly where resorts were going and, things like that. But in our space, I mean, we have sand resorts, we've got snow resorts, we've got beach resorts, we've got lake resorts, we've got big city resorts. And the diversity of those environments offers a real diversity of opportunities, which again then draws a diversity of talent. So understanding where our candidates come from and meeting them where they are is super important. But the resort experience is very, very unique. There's not two resorts that we have that are exactly alike each other. And so trying to find that talent that will thrive in that environment is always a good challenge.
No, that's perfect. And I think that too, one thing I love that the company does when they, you know, design our resorts as well, just from a visiting perspective for all of our guests and everything, they really tailor the design of the resort and the feel of it based on the location that it is in. And so it definitely puts you in that environment and that culture of everything. And so that diversity, like you're speaking of from the candidate perspective too, and the responsibilities at those different resorts might be different based on the location for sure.
Yeah, some of our resorts have elevators, some don't, which can prove problematic at times for our housekeepers. But understanding ahead of time what the resort is specifically needing or what they are looking for is certainly helpful when you're again recruiting for that talent.
So true. And, so it makes the role of you and your teams like different than a lot of other recruitment teams across all organizations, right? I love that. What as you think about and shameless plug, there are some fabulous resort operations opportunities available on tnlcareers.com like as we speak. So but what do you think like as you think about what sets apart a great resort operations candidate? Obviously, some of the skills are unique to resort operations, but some are, more general and transferable skills. So, what do you think sets a great candidate apart?
First of all, it's adaptability, right? Because you're dealing with a variety of situations or part job duties that come up on your day to day routine. A lot of our resorts are pretty remote. So, I think about, Seaside in, Oregon or Whispering Woods, which is a new resort that we just picked up or just started hiring for in December. these are resorts that are, fairly remote. They're really far away from the mothership, right here in Orlando or in Las Vegas. And so having the ability to adapt to an ever changing situation, I think is super important. Being able to move fairly quickly, the guest that is in front of you is your most important priority, and being able to meet and anticipate their needs and getting them onto their vacation, as quickly as you can is super important. And then it probably is an attention to detail, because what sets us up, or sets us apart rather, from so many other hoteliers across the world, is our attention to detail. The people that come back to our properties are owners, right, for the most part. And so we may see the same owner the same week, year after year after year. And understanding what that owner likes, understanding what that individual wants from our properties is hugely important. So it's that attention to detail, coupled with the other things that I've already mentioned, that really sets our resort ops team apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
safe to say you guys do a phenomenal job at that as well too. Even when I travel, and Jay, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing when we travel for business. That team, everyone on the resort operations side, really do make you feel so welcome. They take extra steps to, make sure everything's the way you like it, and to just that attention to detail that you mentioned is super important, and definitely in all of my travel experiences, whether it's been work or if I'm using my employee discounts, that's always been a positive experience for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple examples too. So like at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, the team makes hot cookies. Chocolate chip cookies for the owners as they come in at
I
check-in,
love
right?
that.
And you walk into the lobby, and it's just like this wonderful, just very aromatic experience. And then you go to Flagstaff in Arizona, which I was fortunate enough to visit, and they one of their welcome gifts is an ice scraper for your car,
Oh,
which you wouldn't
fitting.
think in Arizona that you need, but I will tell you, in July it came in handy for us. So definitely each one of the resorts has different ways to connect with their owners and their guests, and it's just really cool to see.
They have ice in Flagstaff in July?
They do, yeah, they do.
I was saying
Okay.
fitting for like the winter, when you said
Yep,
that, and then but July, and I was like, huh,
yep,
Okay.
absolutely,
learn
yeah.
something new every day.
There you go. I want
Okay.
warm chocolate chip cookies, just so we're clear.
I
Like,
I
if
They
San
were
Francisco wants
phenomenal.
to send me warm chocolate chip cookies, I'm good with that.
They were phenomenal.
Little special touches. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, in addition to talking about special touches and attention to detail, we do talk a lot about growth on this podcast. How do you and your team help candidates see long-term career paths and not just their first role when they're applying?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it really depends upon where the candidate is coming from. We tend to see candidates kind of on two ends of the spectrum, those that are really starting out in their professional career. And then it's more about a paycheck to start with, of course, but then it's also about the culture and what is it that you're getting involved in, and how can we tell you about the experiences that you're going to have. And then kind of on the back end, then it's real subtle. It's more about like, and don't forget, this isn't just a job to do for a couple of months. This really could be a career. Like, we can stay with you, and our organization is large enough that you could go from, that entry level guest services associate all the way up to general manager and beyond on the operations side. And if your passion doesn't lie on the operation side per se, it's still a great place to start, because then we have all the support partners in our corporate headquarters and other locations and call centers all over the country. And so getting an individual in the door initially is really key for us, because again, we then can keep them, get them to grow in our culture, and, kind of go from there. The other group of people, and I'm generalizing, of course, but the other group of candidates that we tend to get are folks that are on their second or third careers, or maybe this is a part-time job for them. And so then culture is so much more important, because they're not going to work in a place that they don't like. They've already been in the workforce at least once or twice. So, again, showing some of the benefits that we have, showing some of the career growth, the educational reimbursement, again, trying to hook that individual and say, hey, look, this isn't just a job. I know it is today, and that's okay. And that will be that for some folks, but really trying to get those individuals to understand that there really is a career path. And sometimes the career path is so varied that it's almost overwhelming. That a lot of times we do have candidates that'll call back their associates for us now. They'll call back the recruiter and say, "Hey, I'm looking at this job. What do you think?" Doesn't happen often, but we still try to give out that great advice when we can, just to enable folks to understand that there's a future here if you want it, and we want to keep you if you're good talent.
Seems like you have a career in this. Just saying.
I do. I actually got into human resources many, many years ago, and I've specialized in talent acquisition. We're the tip of the spear. We are often the first contact that associates have with our organization. And to be candid, the majority of my conversations are pleasant. Having the ability to offer someone a job can be a life-changing experience for them and really change the trajectory of their family and friends. And so
Mhm.
I love what I do. I really do.
That's
It
awesome.
definitely shows. So,
Thank you.
yeah. I feel the same, obviously, being in the talent acquisition space, just on the sales and marketing side of things too. And
Yeah.
we definitely are all about that career longevity and that journey that, their first steps into travel and leisure can really take them on. And it's just invigorating. And my favorite thing about talent acquisition is the candidates, getting
Yep.
to talk with them and see where their journey takes them once they take that step into the organization. So very, very nice. But since, this is Work and Wander, let's shift gears a little bit and talk travel. What do you think?
Love it. One of my favorite things to do. Love traveling.
Awesome. I do too, as we just discovered, as we've already talked about once. When you think about travel, what role does it play in how you recharge or reset? Sort of, the getaway from the work. Though travel is our work, some sort of
Yeah.
too. So like, it's
Well,
like where how do you differentiate?
I'll tell you, it's interesting you bring up that point. It's hard for me because we travel within the portfolio of travel and leisure. So I've been to some amazing places. I'll give you an example. We went to Moab 2 years ago and stayed at the resort there. And I'm driving down the street, and you would think I'm looking at the mountains and really enjoying the view and this and that. And I'm not. I'm looking at the competition going, okay, this is what they're doing. Now, how do we match that? Right. And so it does become a little bit of homework sometimes. We tend to travel in places that don't have a lot of cell service, so I
Mhm.
am forced to disconnect and really focus in on the vacationing part and really the decompressing. But I get a kick out of seeing how our associates are interacting with our owners and really enjoying those subtle touches that our resorts do for those owners that differentiate them from competitors in the market. But it is travel is so important. It's so important to see what goes on outside of your own home, outside of your own backyard. It's the exposure to culture, it's the exposure to food, it's the exposure to the elements, right? I mean, there's a huge difference. I'm in Florida, and going to the desert or going to the snow is a little system shock. But all of those things kind of help me recharge and just remind myself that I work for an organization that has bigger aspirations and delivers on big dreams for everybody that comes to us. So it's good.
It's a good way to think about it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I was thinking about that and kind of what you were mentioning earlier about those guest experiences that your team helps cultivate, and you guys do create great vacation experiences for people. I know you kind of touched on this, but if you could elaborate a little bit, like how does travel influence how you think about people and services in general?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I will tell you, I look for a hassle-free experience when I am traveling.
Hmm.
And I think we all do. Like, I don't think anybody packs their bags and goes, well, this is going to be a terrible trip because I've got to do X, Y, Z. I think we all step out into it and go, this is exciting. And inevitably, by the time you get in your car and load your suitcases up, and if you're flying or going to a cruise or whatever it is, before you even get to your destination, something has hassled you. Something has kind of set you off. And, you know, I think for me, I try to remind my team of, that's the same as the candidate experience. They want to go through and get hired and have a hassle-free experience. And if we can provide that for them, then we're already ahead of everybody else in the game.
Hmm.
And so that's super, super important to be reminded of that. And, it is a journey when you travel, and just like the Canada experience is a journey as well. So there's a lot of parallels there.
No one wants a hassle, but it's going to come. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Like that is a way to think about your candidate experience because we want to create that for all of our all of our candidates who are our guests, right, at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So I love that that's a focus of yours, and that's a good perspective to put it into. Is there a destination, like a specific destination or a type of trip that always just rejuvenates or put things in perspective for you? Like, can you name one or a few?
Yeah. So my wife and I, we have a 10-year-old son. And so oftentimes we try to find things or we travel to destinations that he will enjoy, which isn't always the same destination that I would enjoy or pick, right? But his goal is to see all 50 states and hit all the national parks in the United States. So
All
that's
right.
something we can kind of get on. And we've been on a kick there. And, again, we also purposefully travel to places that don't have a lot of cell service. Candidly, I have a hard time disconnecting, and that's me. That's just the way I'm wired. And so finding a place that forces me to disconnect and be more present in the moment, I think has done our family a world of good as we go forth. And that's real fortunate because when you get into the backwoods of some of these national parks, there is no cell service.
Mhm.
And so you really have to pay attention to what's going on. But that's really, we've been to Muir Woods in California. We've been to Yellowstone in Montana, both beautiful places. Stayed at properties very close to those locations. And again, those are just trips that I go back to all the time. All the time, I just mentally kind of go back and kind of helps me reinvigorate with what I'm doing currently and why I do it.
That's great. I love that you're really intentional about two things. Accomplishing something that your son, obviously, it's really important to him, and that goal that he has. I think that's wonderful. But then also being really intentional about going places where you kind of force yourself to check out, because that is
Yeah, it's
really
good.
hard to do. And I think that intention that you have set around that is really nice.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Like that.
Any bucket list destinations that you've yet to visit?
Oh gosh. So I've got one on my list. My wife and I are discussing it now, but I want to go to the World Mark Victoria in Canada. And so
Oh,
it's a very specific location. And it's one of our harder resorts to staff, and partly because it's on an island. And if you don't live on the island, you have to take a ferry to work. And so
Wow.
I, from a, first of all, the facility looks fantastic. The GM up there is just great, and so hospitality, right? And then, but it really is going back to doing homework. It's understanding, meeting our candidates where they are, and figuring out, okay, we've got a specific challenge to this resort. How do we overcome that? And so, the challenge is what kind of is drawing me to that resort, not just the other aesthetic pieces, which are important, but the challenge is what's bringing me there. So.
I mean, I appreciate that
I get him, Jay.
that your bucket list is also related to work.
Work.
There's got to be a
Yep.
bucket. Like, I want a bucket list that we
This
don't
is
have a resort at.
that followed the whole really not being able
Okay.
to check
Yeah,
out.
All right.
the disconnect thing. Like,
That's
come on,
fair.
Tahiti. We don't have a resort in Tahiti. Like that would
No,
like, come on.
I think if I were to go someplace here in the United States, I want to go to Mount Rushmore. I think is the
Okay.
place where I want to go and see. Again, it's not something everybody gets to do. It falls into the national parks piece. So I think, and I'm pretty sure they don't have cell service there. So I think that's a big thing. Again, my travel experience is different. I traveled extensively in Europe and in some places in
Sure.
Northern Africa as a child. And so, there was a point in time where I'd actually traveled to more foreign countries than I had states in the US. So I'm a little bit behind in that space. And so, going to, Oregon last year was a big deal for me. But if you're asking me if I had to put a pin in it, I would probably say it's Mount Rushmore right now.
There we
Okay.
go.
I will accept that answer.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, before we wrap, we have something called the suitcase sprint. And so Jessica has 10 like rapid fire questions, and just the first thing
Okay.
that comes to mind, you shout out.
No pressure.
Ready?
All right.
Yeah, it's super
No
scary.
pressure. Yes,
Okay.
it is super scary.
Just kidding. All in fun. All in fun. All right. First question: window seat or aisle seat?
Window.
Jay, we talked about this last time.
There's
That is
so many
gaining-
windows.
Yes,
Yeah.
gaining the lead for sure, which I thought would be the opposite. But I'm a
Yep.
window seat too.
Absolutely.
All right. Early flight or late departure?
Early flight.
Beach morning or a pool afternoon?
Pool afternoon.
Yeah. Carry on only or checked bag?
Carry on only.
Amazes me. I can't.
Yeah, carry on only.
No,
Yep.
Jay.
Yes.
All right. Planning every detail or go with the flow?
If you're asking me, I would say go with the flow. My wife's on the other end of that spectrum, so it works out.
That's probably fair.
Yep.
All right. Rental car or ride share?
Rental car.
Do you like to drive? Are you the driver?
Yeah, it's a little control thing, but yeah,
Me too.
definitely like to drive.
Me too. All right. Dinner at the resort or explore a local dining experience?
Local dining experience.
For sure. Unpack immediately when you arrive, or do you live out of your suitcase?
Unpack immediately. Yeah, get it all in the closet. Get ready to go.
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry about the wrinkles later.
Exactly.
That's my biggest concern.
It's all there in the suitcase. Just take out
Jay,
what you need.
Come on. All right. One place you'd go back to again and again.
Grand Canyon.
Okay. I
Loved
still
it.
need to get there.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Last
Beautiful.
one. Best way to end a vacation: last adventure or total relaxation?
Oh gosh, probably total relaxation.
Okay.
Yep.
You do all the adventures early on.
Yeah, and then you relive it the last night with a adult beverage or something in your hand and
Yes.
relax. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I have a bonus question.
Ooh.
Oh,
I
All
know,
right, I'm
right?
ready.
Surprise bonus question.
yes. I'm ready.
Favorite show scene at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Disney World.
Dinosaur bones.
Perfect.
Okay.
So Jessica's looking at us because she's like,
do
"What
like
are
that
you guys
ride, but I
talking
didn't
about?"
know.
So this is a fun fact. So when I was, I mean, I don't know how old Jeff was, but I'll give my age. That when I was, I mean, you were only a year or two older than me. But when I was on the Disney College program, I did my Disney College program at Big Thunder Mountain Railroad,
Did
and
you?
Jeff was working there as well. So we have worked together. We have worked together on and
Wow.
off for like 25 years. Yeah.
You save it for the end of the show.
Yeah.
I know, right? It was like a fun bonus fact at the end.
Jay, it's actually closer to 30 years, but I won't remind you of that.
Okay, well yeah, it is.
Yeah, it has been.
26.
Look at Jay's like, how?
Which is closer to the 30
I did my
than the
college
20.
program in 2000. So I feel like, and now it's 2026.
That's
So it's 26
closer
years.
to 30.
Yep. It is closer to 30.
All right.
Wow.
Yep. Good times.
Ugh,
Good
That's
times.
funny. Anyway,
So,
last like ending question, right? At Travel and
Yep.
Leisure, we know the mission. It's to put the world on vacation, and that starts with the people behind the scenes. From your perspective, how do great teams make great travel experiences possible?
well, wow, that is a really, really good question. We always remember the interactions, right? It's really, where we go is important, and there's a destination when we have in mind when we set up our trip and we go to those places. And you know what? We went to New York City and we stayed at Midtown 45, and it was a great experience. But who I remember is Andrew, who was the AGM there. And it was his interaction with my family, and more importantly, his interaction with my son. Sounds a little cliche, I guess, but that's what I remember. And I mean, the hotel's fantastic. The resort is unbelievable. Great location. The city, the backdrop, you can't beat it. But it was the 5 minutes that Andrew took when he visited my son when we first checked in that was really important. And I understand enough about the operations side of it to know that Andrew doesn't get to make those visits without a great team underneath him and a great team around him. He doesn't get to walk up and say, "Hey, how's your day?" without getting the room looks great. The housekeepers did a fantastic job, or the doorman was awesome when he got us in. And so, that great team, wherever it is that supports the operation, enables those fantastic and those, sometimes life-changing interactions that we have with our associates when we go on vacation in the resorts, or when our owners come with us. And so the teamwork is so important because it really is the foundation for everything that we do kind of moving forward.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Thank you.
Wonderful perspective. And I
Sure.
would agree for sure. That's hard to follow, actually. It kind of really brings it all full circle. So I love that.
Luckily, you just have to close us out, so you're good to
I
go.
know. I mean, I feel like that was like a moment where I'm like,
We should just end on that note and
right?
not.
Like, do I? No, that was really great, Jeff. And thank you so much for joining us for Work and Wander today. We really loved hearing your story, and obviously your insights have been fantastic. So we appreciate that. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, keep wandering.